products and manage those different discounts and markups. Then we're going to be creating some purchase orders and eventually turning those purchase orders directly into invoices so you can bill your client. So let's start by sharing my screen. Okay, so take a look. This is my studio. And we're going to go in. And I have to apologize. Sometimes on webinars, it's a little bit slower, just with, I guess, the transferring of data. Oops, and I clicked too fast. Okay, so the first thing you're going to see now is if you are logged in as an admin or somebody with the appropriate role, you are going to see this new vendor icon. So we're going to click here. And we now have a whole list of vendors. So if you previously had put in the retailer in your studio for any products that you've created, a default vendor was created for you. So let's take a peek here. And you'll see that we have no discount, no markup added in yet, and no general account information. We're going to start adding some in. So let's start by adding a brand new vendor, and then we will go and we will edit. Okay, so I want to add in Bassett as a vendor. At this stage, I can add an account number if I know what it is. So let's just make one up. If I don't, I can still create my vendor without having an account number. After I create my vendor, I can then start adding in some information about them. So I know with Bassett, my default as a trade professional is 25% off. I'm not actually going to be buying wholesale from them, just buying retail and then getting my discount. There's my account number I already put in. I can put in a link to their website. I can add in some additional notes about this vendor. So if in case I forget, or maybe a junior on my team needs to know that these are retail purchases with 25% trade discount. I can add in some locations. So let's add in a location. Up here, I already have a tab open. So I can grab some information. Oh, and Sarah cannot spell. You can continue to put in the information, as much or as little information as you want. The more information you put in, the more accurate it's going to be. I can actually add in multiple locations as well. So if you are working with clients in different cities and you may be ordering from vendors in different locations, you can easily add in a secondary, third, fourth, fifth, as many locations as you want. And now I can add in my rep details. So I don't know about you, but whenever I'm purchasing product, there are the same people that I like to work with. Sometimes I'm assigned a rep, and sometimes there's just people that are my go-to, my champions. So we are going to add in some information about our favorite rep. There we go. So now we have in some basic information. We've created Bassett. We know we have a discount of 25%. We have a location that we order from. We have our primary contact. Now we're going to add some products to Bassett. So if you're a previous Mydoma Studio user, this is going to be applicable to you. If you're brand new, you can also do this, but you'll have to wait until after you've added some products to your catalog. So Bassett right now doesn't have any products associated with them. We made this great little tool where you can grab products from your catalog that aren't already associated with a vendor and start adding them. So if I scroll down, because I know where they are. I can also start typing the name. So there are 3 products in my catalog that belong to Bassett. And if I use this little arrow, I can click over, and now they're associated with Bassett. So let's go back and take a look at our vendors for a moment. And now I can see I've added Bassett here in my list. I've got an account number. I have an email from my rep, a phone number. I can see the discount that I'm offered. I see that there's no markup because I'm not buying wholesale. Now, I could edit this vendor, or I can archive them. You're probably pretty used to seeing those details. So let's say I no longer want to purchase from Mondo. I can just archive them. Again, you're probably going to have a big list of vendors in here, so you can turn them on and off as you need them, or archive or unarchive. Okay, so there's your high level on adding vendors. You can add, again, as many vendors as you want to add. You can also sort them pretty easily here by alphabetical order. So let's take a look at a project now, and we're going to start adding some products, and we will take a look at how the markup and the retail discount are affected. So I'm going to go into Smith Guesthouse. You'll also see a new tab that shows up here called Purchase Orders. And if we don't have any open, we can go to create one. But that's not the first step. We actually need to add some products to our project before we can create a purchase order. So let's go into the master bedroom. I'm going to click on Products. Now, in order to save some time, I've already added some products into this project. So let's take a look at a few of them. So here we can see that I have a light, and this guy's coming from Renwill. It's the Primrose Light. I can see some information about it. I can see that the vendor is Renwill. I have a quantity of 1. The base price is $500. If I press Show More, I can see that at Renwill, I have a 20% designer discount. So the base price is $500. I know that I'm getting 20% off. So my price is $400. Therefore, I'm making a profit of $100 on this particular light. So I'm selling this light for $500. At any point, I can press View as Client. And in the client view, the client doesn't get to see all of that breakdown. They're not seeing my discount, markup, base price, none of it. What they see is nice and simple. Quantity of 1, a price of $500. I'm allowing them to see the product code. I'm not hiding where or what I'm buying for them. They can see that it's coming from Renwill, and I've even included a link if they wanted to buy online. I'm going to stop viewing as client now and show you a few other options. So let's scroll down. Okay, we're going to take a look at Cravat now. This is going to be a curated Cravat product, and my relationship with Cravat, if I click here, let's go back into my vendor here. Within Cravat, you see that I'm not actually getting a discount. I'm not buying retail from them. I'm buying wholesale, and then I'm going to be marking it up 100%. So if I go back to the project I'm working on, scroll down, and I can see the sofa here. So the base price of the sofa is $2,000. I'm marking it up 50%. Actually, that's supposed to be 100. I'm marking it up 100%. So I can see that a quantity of 1, the price will be $4,000 for the client because I've marked it up 100%, so times 2. I can see that if I buy this sofa at my price of $2,000, I'm profiting $2,000 on the sofa. Again, I can show less, so it's nice and clean, and I can also view as client. And again, the client only sees that $4,000 price tag. They're not seeing that I'm buying it at $2,000. I want to show you a couple more scenarios. We've got, again, some more from Kravit, marking up 100%. I have a rug here coming from West Elm. So again, if I click on my vendor West Elm and I put in a default discount of 15%, when I add a product from West Elm, it's automatically going to take the 15% off that rug. So I'm getting a 15% discount off of $5.99. I've actually given the option here to give the client a 5% discount. So this is a pretty cool feature because now you can actually extend part of your discount to the client and have it show up nice and bright for them. So they realize they're getting a nice little deal from you. So I'm buying one of these rugs at a price of $569.05. So I'm getting it for 15% off the base price. So my price is $509.15. And I'm actually going to be making $59.90 off of this rug. If I go into View as Client, I want to show you guys this just from a couple of different views. Again, quantity of one, price of $569.05 is what the client's paying, and we have extended them a 5% discount. If you don't want to give the client any discount, you simply just change this 0. So now the base price of the rug is $5.99 is what the retailer is going to charge me as the designer, but I'm actually going to buy it for $509.15 because I get a 15% discount. Okay, remember how we added Bassett as a vendor? Well, now I want to add some products from Bassett and show you what happens. So let's just go back as a quick little refresher. Let's click into Bassett. So I get a 25% discount off of retail from Bassett. So let's see what happens when we add some products. I'm actually going to go into the guest room. So we press Add Products up here. We can search by name, category, but I actually want to search. Well, I don't want to search by vendor. Oh, yes, I do want to search by vendor because I've already added Bassett in. And now it's just going to show me the products that I have from Bassett. And I actually want all 3 of these added to this project. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to add the 3. Okay, so here's what's really important to see. Is that remember how I told you that we added at the vendor level, we put in my designer discount was 25%. So by default now, as I've added this product, it brought in the base price, which I set when I added the product to my catalog. It's brought in the default discount of 25%. And we're seeing no total here because I haven't actually added a quantity yet. So for the guest bedroom, we just need one of these dressers. So a base price of $24.59. I get a 25% discount, which makes the dresser $1844.25. If I sell the dresser to my client at $22 or $24.59, I will be making a profit of $614.75. So let's hit Show Less again. Let's view as client. And this is what our clients are going to see. Nice and clean, where to buy, all the information. Again, I can take out some of this information, bit of a refresher, but I can hide certain information if I don't want them shopping me, if I'm going to buy it for them. And if I'd like to, again, pass on a portion of my discount, so if I get 25% and I want to extend 5% to them, I can press client discount of 5% so they can see. So now my profit has just gone down a little bit. Now I'm making $491.80 on that particular dresser. Let's take a look at the scenario again. So now we have 2 nightstands. Base price is $749. Designer discount is 25%. I'm gonna add in a quantity of 2. And again, this is what's so great. You don't need to do the math. The system does the math for you. So base price of $7.49 times 2 less a 25% discount gives me a designer total of $1,123.50. So I will be profiting $374.50 by buying these dressers or nightstands. And we can do it one more time with the clock. So I need 1 clock at a base price of $2.99, discount of 25%. Now let's say this clock is $2.99 and Bassett puts it on sale and I find out through an email or I'm looking online. I can actually do a price override and I can just change the price if I need it to. But by using the price override, what that does is it actually takes out your markup and discount. So you want to be careful with using the price override. We discourage using it unless you really need to. You can always just change the base price of the item. And how you would do that is you click up here. We're going to hit Edit Product. And let's say Bassett wants to move this clock out and it's 200. Now scroll down and the base price has been changed. It's $200. I'm still getting my 25% off, so now I'm getting a really good deal. So basically you can keep doing that for all your different scenarios. Let's take a look at one more here. This is from Universal. So let's say in this scenario I'm buying wholesale again. The base price is $6.50 on the bench. I'm going to mark it up 120%. So I need 1 of them. At 120% markup, that means the price of the bench is now $1,430. I'm buying it as the designer at $6.50. I'm selling it at $14.30. So I'm making $780 off of this bench. You could, if you are buying wholesale and you want to give a small discount to the client, you could do that if you want to give them a discount. So you're still buying the bench at $650, but you've now discounted it slightly and you're giving a little deal to your client. So again, many different scenarios. Actually, let's leave that one in there. So we're going to take a look at how this all looks on the pricing sheet. So if you guys have questions as I'm going through this, it's pretty detailed with the math. Feel free to pop them in the chat box, and if they are more generic, I can answer them at the end and go through some specific scenarios. And if they apply directly to your business, Tanya is happy to answer those questions privately with you. Okay, so we've added products to our project. We played around with some markups. We played around with some discounts. Now what we need to do is create a purchase order. Half the reason you're all here, to see how quickly this can happen. So let's click Smith Guest House. And like I mentioned at the top here, we now have a purchase orders section that comes in. Let's click purchase order, and it's saying we don't have any right now, so let's create a new one. So the first thing is we need to select a vendor. And this is where we pride ourselves at Mydoma on making everything easier for you. So if you recall from the beginning, when I clicked on my vendors over here, I had a good 30 vendors. But yet when I'm clicking to create the purchase order, I'm only seeing a handful, 3, 6. And the reason you're only seeing 6 potential vendors is that these are the only vendors that you have products. Only products from these vendors are within your project currently. So this way it's going to make your life a lot easier. So let's take a peek at, let's go Cravat first. Now, I've clicked Cravat, and what it's showing me is the spaces within this project. So there's the master bedroom, and there's the guest room, and these 2 spaces have products from Cravat within them. So now I can choose to order all of these products, or I could just choose specific ones. So let's order all of them. And it's that simple. You just click on them and you press this button, Create PO. So this screen is going to look a little bit familiar if you have been previously using invoices within Mydoma Studio. So let me walk you through how this looks. First thing you see here is your own logo. Again, we do personalized purchase orders to make it all about you. We see an order number. So this is going to be order 001. If I look over here on the right, I see my Awesome Interior Design Company. That's the name of my demo company. And I've got my own address as well as my tax ID. If I want to come in here, I can actually just change this information and update it. So if you haven't put in your billing address, you can do that now. If I go back over to the left, I see the vendor that I'll be ordering from. So I'm ordering from Kravit. My account number is there, my rep detail, and his contact information. I can also put in some additional notes if I need to about this purchase order. Now we'll take a look here. We've got status. So by default, when creating a new purchase order, it is set to new. We also have submitted, approved, and closed. We can choose a shipping address for the products. So this is where, by keeping nice, healthy, organized vendors and clients, you can easily choose where you want something shipped. So I could ship it to my own company. I can ship it to Kravit in San Francisco because I've added them as an optional location. I can ship it to the client, John Smith, or I could just start filling it out and fill out exactly where I want it to go. So we're actually going to ship this direct to the client. Now, let's take a look at the meat and potatoes of a purchase order. So we have here on the left a nice little picture that represents the product that we're ordering. We can see the name of it. We can see the space that it's associated with. So this is coming from the master bedroom. I need 2 of them. I can see that there's a purchase, a SKU number. And now we're just going to follow along left to right and go through a little bit of math. So I need 2 of the Zenith chests. The base price is $500. I'm marking them up 100%. So I'm going to be selling them to the client at $1,000 a piece. I have not given the client any discount, and I am not getting any designer discount because I'm buying wholesale off of these products. If I make changes to these numbers here, it will update back over on the project product list. So the math's pretty easy. 2 times 500 a piece means I'm going to be spending $1,000 on these 2 chests. If I want to delete it, I can delete it. If I want to make it taxable, I can choose yes or no. So let's take a look and go down. We also need 1 of the sofas. Again, nice and easy. We need 1 sofa times $2,000 a piece with 100% markup makes that sofa $4,000. And you need to know, I think most of you probably already do know this, but that a purchase order is done per vendor. So what you're seeing right here is just the purchase order. Whoop, what you were seeing before I moved my screen. Just 1 second. I wonder where my window went. Can't have a webinar without some technical difficulties. Okay, there we go, back on track. Okay, so as I was saying is that you basically create 1 purchase order for each specific vendor. So what we have broken down here are the individual pieces for this project. So we can see that we have 2 nightstands in the master bedroom, 1 sofa in the master bedroom, but we're also ordering a bed for the guest room. Scroll down. Now what we have here is the total that is not sent to the vendor. So this is just showing your marked up total, what the client will eventually pay. This is purely here for you so you can see the difference. So the subtotal is $5,500 USD. My particular test company here is in California, so there's 8% tax. It's showing my made up tax ID. So the total that the vendor would be charging me is $54.90 to order these pieces of furniture. And I can see here at a glance that I'm going to be charging the client $11,000. Therefore, a profit of $5,500. I want to add on an extra service. So we can add on additional services. So remember how I said that I'm going to be sending this to the client's house? So let's call it, let's say, a flat rate of 1, that there's going to be an extra fee, and it's $300, and we are going to tax it. So you can add on as many additional services if you want. You could do, call it installation, and you can start adding in additional services. Now, likely you're probably not going to do an installation service, but delivery would be a very typical thing that you can add here. You could also leave it as $0. Call it delivery, and that way when you actually send this off for an estimate request, the vendor is going to be aware that you are looking for delivery, in case that's extra, which often it is. So let's take a peek. We have everything that we think we need from Kravit for this particular project. Looks good. There we go. Pretty happy with that. Don't really want to show delivery because we're going to get them to do it after. The next step is to download or send. So this lovely PDF button right here. Now we have a couple different options. We can download a purchase order as a PDF. We can download an estimate request. So there are two differences here. Purchase order, we are fairly confident in the pricing already. It's probably retail. We've probably gotten the prices offline or from online. Or we need an estimate request. These pieces might be a little bit more custom. Prices are changing. You can choose which one you want. Here's where the best part is. We can say also send to vendor. So remember when we put in our vendor details? This is really important. So now you don't even need to go into your email client to send off this purchase request or purchase order. We can put in, by default, if we do an estimate request, we filled in some text right here. It's an estimate request. It also has some basic information, but you could come in here and personalize this a bit. So I've personalized this. Now I can press email PDF to vendor. And now what it's done is it's basically sent an email, well, not basically, it has sent an email directly to Bob. And example Kravit hopefully is not an email address because that's going to go there. I could also open up the PDF that I've sent. So I can take a little peek. My logo's there. Again, remember how I told you you're not going to be able to see, like you won't be sending the marked up price to your vendor because they don't really care. This is exactly what we're sending them now. So we've got the name, we've got the quantity, the base price, the amount. That's all they want to know, right? Is that you're placing an order and then they'll verify that pricing. If I click over here on email history, now I can see what day that I sent the email off to Bob at Kravit. And Bob will likely email me back and he may verify pricing. He may say this order's been placed. So depending on what the response is from Bob, I can then change the status. So I know I've already sent it. So let's say it's submitted. There's probably going to be a slight bit of email back and forth with Bob's. Maybe something's discontinued, maybe, hopefully not. But once I get verified pricing, I can then hit that it's approved. Got my pricing approved. And now I can actually create an invoice directly off of this. So we get a little warning. The action closes the purchase order. Generating an invoice from a purchase order is intended to be the final action. By continuing, the purchase order will close and mark the products as purchased. So let's press generate invoice. There's a flow here that I want you guys to be aware of, is that within the project, I'm just going to backtrack for a second. Within the project, the flow is that you would present these products to the client logs in and they approve the products. After they've approved the products, you're then going to create a purchase order and get a product estimate request. After you get the products back and they're happy with the pricing, you can then create the invoice for the products. So before you actually place the purchase order with your vendor, because we highly recommend that you collect money upfront for all product purchases you're doing because you're not a bank. So you would then create the invoice. By creating an invoice, what that does is it marks all of these products as purchased because it's assuming that you're about to immediately invoice the client. Okay, so let me go back. So we created the purchase order here on February 5th. It's set to closed because we have now planned to order them. If I click on invoices, it's auto-created an invoice for me for my client based off of the products that I intend to order for them from Krabbit. So it's brought in, it's by default called an invoice 001 because it's referencing the purchase order. We've got the total here of 11,880. That is the marked up total, right? Different from the 5,000 and change that we had done for the purchase order. We can link this particular invoice to another room if we wanted to, but by default it's already linked. Actually, it's not. We have to choose. We want it linked to the guest room. We choose which client. The reason you can choose multiple clients is if you've added on, let's say, husband and wife, one particular person's doing the purchasing, everybody has different relationships, maybe you're buying for a business, so you can have different clients in here. Choose which one you want the invoice to be sent to. By default, it's got my US currency. If I scroll down here, I can see the different products that I am invoicing my client for. It comes in with a description. It has the quantities, the rate. Again, these are the marked up prices. Okay, so we can cross-reference back to the purchase order to see what they were, what we had bought them at, but I'm going to show you an even easier way. Again, you don't have to do any of the math. 2 of these times 1,000, 2,000. Yes, we need to charge tax on these. For whatever reason, I didn't want to charge tax. You could individually click these off and not. Now, when the client logs in, if I view as client, imagine I've just logged in as the client. The client sees basically the same information on this invoice and can hit pay now. And they can pay directly by credit card if you have set that up. Otherwise, if you are accepting another method of payment, you can mark as paid, choose which method, and put in the appropriate information. So that went from adding products to a project to creating a purchase order to eventually creating an invoice. I want to do it again for you with another vendor so you can see that whole flow because it's a lot. So we have one purchase order sitting here. Let's do another one. Again, remember we only have those 6 available. Let's order some of those pieces from Bassett. And we're only actually getting Bassett pieces in the guest room. Let's go under the assumption that the client hasn't fully committed to this night table. They want something else. So we'll hit create purchase order. We're going to add in a order number. It's a new purchase order. We're going to ship it again to the client. Come down, I can see I have these 2 pieces. I can see the product code, the dimensions. I've got my base price in. And remember how I said that Bassett was a retailer where we're getting 25% off, so we're not buying wholesale. So now we see different numbers have been put in here. We have a quantity of 1, a base price of $24.59. We are, as the designer, getting 25% off, but we've also extended 5% discount to the client. So what that means is I, as the designer, am going to be buying this product for $1844.25. I need 1 of them, and that's the amount that will be going directly to the vendor. Down here, I need 1 of the clock times 200. I'm getting 25% off. I'm not extending any discount to the client. It's already on sale. But let's say I've gotten this purchase order ready to go. I'm just going to say that I've already submitted it. And now client says, hey, Sarah, remember that night table? I actually don't want the one from Krabbit. I want to go back and get the one from Bassett. So I haven't closed this yet. I can actually add some products into it. So if I go add products, this is pretty interesting. What it does is you're not seeing the entire catalog of Bassett products. You're seeing the products that are left to be ordered from Bassett that you've already added to this project. So it can make your life nice and easy. There's only 1. Imagine there was, let's say 4 or 5 different pieces, and the client wasn't ready to decide on the furniture for the remaining rooms, just the guest room. So they say, okay, I would like to order this night table. I'm gonna add that in. And I come down here, and again, the quantity is already here, the price is here, the discount's here. It is referencing, if I just go right back to master bedroom, oops, guest room. It's simply just referencing the information I put in here. So what's really important is that you first set up your vendors, put in your default markups and discounts if you know them. Then you start building out everything from the product list. So everything in Mydoma is built off of this list. If you set this list up right, then it will automatically generate purchase orders with no errors. It will create invoices for you, and it will create a nice, robust pricing sheet. And this got a nice little overhaul with the addition of purchase orders and vendors. Because now if I'm clicking on the pricing sheet for this entire guest room, I can have a quick breakdown and see if I'm buying this bench from Universal, okay, the base price is $650. I marked it up 120%. I'm not discounting it at all, so it's still $650. Like my discount is nothing, but I am going to give the client a 5% discount, so I can walk right through it. It's a lot to take in, but if you actually look at the math, it makes it quite simple. The client is paying $13.58. I pay $6.50. I profit $7.08. This information can all be exported to CSV, and then you can put it directly into your accounting software. So if you just need to know these main numbers at the bottom, which is probably the most important, you can come down and see client totals, my totals, and profit. And let's hope that you're all making a profit. And if you see anything in brackets and you're seeing a negative, then you need to adjust some of those markups and discounts because you want to sell product to make profit. If I click up to the top level of this project, I can actually click the project pricing sheet, and this is an incredibly powerful tool. This is a high level of every single product that you've added to this project across all the different rooms. So you can see them all broken down by category, and at the end you can see the total the client's paying, the total you're paying, and the profit that you are making for all the products in your project. So if you see any errors or any negatives, you can easily just go back and start making adjustments. So you can up the cost of the product and change your markup, nice and easy. Keep an eye on the time here. We got a bunch of questions coming in. So I'll click back into purchase orders. There's that one from Bassett we submitted. Let's take a peek in here. Again, you can add in additional line items. If I want to add extra products, this is pretty interesting. It's telling me all products from this vendor have been ordered already. That's because we want to be your best friend and make your life easier, because everybody knows how busy you get day to day, and ensuring that you've ordered all your products can be you know, a little bit time consuming. So it's already saying, oh, we've ordered them all. You're already done. So unless you need to add more product to this project, you have ordered everything from Bassett. Let's click on this estimate request. I'd like to show you what that looks like. So an estimate request is very similar to an actual purchase order, but it's an estimate. So you're basically saying, I don't know what the pricing is. We happen to know what it is, but if you didn't, you could simply leave out the pricing. Or if you have an idea of what the pricing is, you're just asking them to verify pricing. So it makes it easier for your vendor, right? Because differentiating whether are you actually placing this order, do you just want to verify pricing, what are you trying to do with it? Okay, let's just go back here. So we can see here I have my purchase orders. We can see different statuses at a glance. We can always archive a purchase order if we didn't want it, and we can come in and edit it. You can have as many purchase orders as you like for a project. There's no limits. This is pretty cool. So I've actually ordered all the products from Kravit, so it's letting me know you've ordered all these products already. If you want to add more products, you can re-add them back to the project. So what this means is that, let's say your client really likes the dresser that we added for the guest room and says, you know what, I really want to add that for the master bedroom as well. I can go back to the master bedroom and I could add in some more products from Kravit. And I could add in one that we've already purchased. So I've already bought this chest, and I bought it for the guest room. We're now in the master bedroom. Oops, that's not what I wanted to actually click. You can manually press items as purchased if you're not doing purchase orders, but we recommend that you do it through a purchase order to keep everything organized and automated for you. So now I can add in additional products from Kravit. So if I go back here, purchase orders, I'm going to add a new one. And if I click Kravit again, it's showing me there's more product to order. Now I can do a separate purchase order all over again just for this particular chest. All right, so I think that gives a pretty good overview of purchase orders, managing and editing your vendors, and then eventually changing those purchase orders into invoices. This is a huge feature set for Mydoma Studio. It is upped our game 150%. You can now manage your products so much easier, manage the relationships with your vendors, and really take control of your business and understand all of your profit and loss at a glance, right? It's just going to make your life a lot easier. I know there's probably going to be a ton of questions. We're 15 minutes before the end. So I'm going to look back at some of the questions here and see which ones I can answer live. And then otherwise, if you're an existing user, you can use the in-app chat support. You can use the in-app chat support. And you can just chat directly with us if you have specific questions to your business. Okay. So, oh, you know, there's one thing that I didn't show you, and then I promise I'll answer some questions. This pricing sheet, as a friendly reminder, is never, ever, ever visible to your client, okay? Client cannot see it. Whoa, look at that. Like, don't worry, your client can't see that, because we don't want your client ever even accidentally being able to see your profit. This is your business and we got your back, okay? So just remember that. And when you go to print your project, same thing. This sheet actually isn't printable for the client, okay? You don't have to worry. Okay, back to questions. Okay. Good question. Peg Guzner. So is a PO number auto-generated? If not, how to avoid duplicate purchase order numbers? Really good question, Peg. And this actually should be showing up here, so we'll get that changed to make sure that the purchase order number is sitting here. We don't auto-generate them. That's, again, you know, as company based on feedback, we're happy to take that and consider it. So if that's something that would make life easier, we could look at auto-generating them. We could put that into the pile of requests. Or perhaps we can have them sitting here live so you can just see the last number that you used. Can you add products from multiple vendors to one invoice to make it easier for the client, or do you have to send one invoice for each purchase order? That's from Lindsay. Right now, yes, Lindsay, you do send individual invoices for different purchase orders. Again, something that we've talked about and may come in the future, but for now, you're just sending them individually. Okay. Bear with me while I read through some of them. Janice Tyler is asking about treating labor the same way. Yes, you could do it the same way for labor and request. Like, I guess I might need to know some more information though on what kind of labor you're looking for. Is it in relation to like installation of a product, or is this a completely separate service? So Janice, perhaps we could have a little chat offline about some of the specifics that you're looking for around that. Okay, so Nancy says, when the vendor replies to your estimate to confirm pricing, they just reply to your email. They can't change the prices on the document that you send them. Correct, right now they cannot. If you had a really good relationship with your vendor and you wanted to create them as a user within your studio, you could. However, I mean, unless you're really, really close and working with them, you could do that. I think it's better just to have them respond by email, and then you take control and make sure you update the pricing appropriately. Okay, I'm going to scroll here, see if there are any other questions. Okay. General questions about this particular webinar will be recorded, so you don't have to worry. If you weren't able to watch the entire thing, or if you're catching it later, you will receive a recorded copy in your email afterwards. There's a handful of very specific questions coming in, but again, I just want to deter from answering really specific ones to everybody's individual businesses because it might not be fully applicable. I do encourage you to use that chat box though if you're an existing user and ask those questions. And we do offer some new paid training specifically on this. Again, it's only if you have really detailed questions where you could use some additional support from us where we can help you how to set your proper markups or how to use your how to properly set your base price. If you're having difficulties around it, maybe you run a store, maybe you buy wholesale, maybe you're primarily buying retail, doing affiliate links. There are so many different scenarios. If you do need that help, we'll share a link to that later. Otherwise, you know, we do have plenty of training available that you can, self-guided training that you can watch online. There's a handful of different videos. You can re-reference this webinar and then encourage you to use that chat box if you do have additional questions. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, I see one more question here from Elle. I'll just touch on that one. So when the vendor responds, are they responding through Mydoma? No, it's just coming right back to your email to keep that nice and easy for you. So it'll come through within your email, and then you can log directly into your studio and update the pricing if need be. Okay, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this. Hope it wasn't too much of an information overload. I hope to hear some feedback on what you like, what you don't like. If there's any improvements we can make, you know that we are a company based on feedback. We love to hear from you. So don't be shy, and I hope everybody has a really great afternoon or morning, and we'll talk soon. Take care.